Jason's Academy, Social Science, Class 7th, Geography, Lesson 4, Water. Hello students, today we are going to start Geography, Lesson 4, Water. Water is a colorless and odorless substance found all over Earth. Water is made up of billions of molecules. Each molecule is made up of one oxygen and two hydrogen atoms held together by strong covalent bonds. Water is found in three different forms on Earth: gas, solid, and liquid. The form water takes depend on the temperature. Water on our planet flows as liquid in rivers, streams, and oceans. Is solid as ice at the north and south poles, and is gas in the atmosphere. Water is also underground and inside plants and animals. All living things need water in some form to survive on Earth. People can go weeks without food but can live only a few days without water. Water is an important resource with many uses, including food production, cleaning, transportation, power generation, recreation, and moreover. First topic of this chapter is forms of water. Water is present on the earth in two forms, that is saline and fresh water. Fresh water is any naturally occurring water except seawater and brackish water. Fresh water is generally categorized by having low concentrations of dissolved salt and other total dissolved solids, though the term specifically includes seawater and brackish water. It does include mineral-rich water such as Calibe's spring. Fresh water may include water in ice sheets, ice caps, glacier, icebergs, bogs, ponds, lakes, rivers, streams, and even underground water called groundwater. Water is critical to the survival of all living organisms. Some organisms can thrive on salt water, but the great majority of higher plants and most mammals need fresh water to live. Fresh water is not always potable water, that is, water safe to drink. Much of the earth's fresh water is to a substantial degree unsuitable for human consumption without some treatment. Fresh water can easily become polluted by human activities or due to naturally occurring processes such as erosion. Saline water is that water contains a high concentration of dissolved salt. The salt concentration is usually expressed in parts per thousand or parts per million. The United States Geological Survey classified saline water in three salinity categories. Salt concentration in slightly saline water is around 1000 to 3000 ppm. In moderately saline water 3000 to 10,000 ppm, and in highly saline water 10,000 to 35,000 ppm. Seawater has a salinity of roughly 35,000 ppm, equivalent to 35 grams of salt per 1 liter of water. The saturation level is only nominally dependent on the temperature of the water. At 20 degrees Celsius, 1 liter of water can dissolve about 357 grams of salt. A concentration of 26.3% WW at boiling, the amount that can be dissolved in 1 liter of water increases to about 391 grams, a concentration of 281.0 WW. Next topic is rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is the simple process or technology used to conserve rainwater by collecting, storing, conveying, and purifying of rainwater that runs off from rooftops, parks, roads, open grounds, etc. for later use. The process of rainwater harvesting involves the collection and the storage of rainwater with the help of artificially designed systems that run off naturally or man-made catchment areas like the rooftop, compounds, rock surface, hill slopes, artificially repaired, impervious or semi-pervious land surface. Next topic is distribution of major water bodies. We all know that how important water is to us. 3 by 4 of the earth's surface is covered with water. This water distributed throughout the planet in various forms and shapes called the various water bodies. These water bodies differ in size, right from huge ones like oceans and seas to the small ones like ponds. Thus, the various water bodies we see on the Earth's surface are in the form of oceans, seas, lake, river, ponds, waterfalls, etc. Let us travel the earth and learn about these various water bodies found only on our beautiful planet. Ocean. The oceans are vast and deep bodies of water. Usually, it is this ocean that separate continents from one another. The oceans are bodies of salt water. We have 5 oceans in our world. They are the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Arctic Ocean, and the Southern Ocean or Antarctic Ocean. The largest and deepest ocean in the world is the Pacific Ocean, covering one third of the Earth's surface. This is followed by the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean in order of size. Oceans are home to a variety of plants and seaweed and thousands of sea creatures like the sea urchins, whales, sharks, octopus, a variety of fish, snakes, squids, etc. In fact, oceans also contain millions of tiny dead animals called coral polyps, which form the beautiful coral reefs. Australia being the largest coral reef in the world. Oceans are useful to us in many ways as they are a rich source of minerals. They provide energy and valuable fuels like petroleum. They work as an important channel of transportation. Next topic is movement of ocean water. We all know that the ocean water is never still. There are different types of movements of ocean water under the influence of different physical characteristics like temperature, salinity, density, etc. Movement of ocean water are also affected by external forces like the sun, moon, and the wind. The major movement of the ocean water can be classified into 3. They are waves, tides, ocean currents. Waves and the ocean currents are horizontal movements of ocean waters, while the tide is a kind of vertical movement of the ocean water. Let's see what is wave. Waves are nothing but the oscillatory movements that result in the rise and fall of water surface. Waves are a kind of horizontal movement of the ocean water. They are actually the energy, not the water as such, which moves across the ocean surface. This energy for the wave is provided by the wind. In a wave, the movement of each water particle is in a circular manner. A wave has 2 major parts. The raised part is called as the crest, while the low point is called the toe. Now let's see what is tides. Tides are the periodical rise and fall of the sea levels once or twice a day caused by the combined effects of gravitational forces exerted by the sun, the moon, and the rotation of the earth. They are vertical movement of waters and are different from movement of water caused by meteorological effects like the winds and atmospheric pressure changes. The water movements which are caused by the meteorological effects like the seat above are called as surges, and they are not regular like tides. The moon's gravitational pull to a great extent is the major cause of the occurrence of tides. When the sun, the moon, and the earth are in a straight line, the height of the tide will be higher than normal. These are called as the spring tides. They occur twice in a month, one on the full moon and the other on the new moon. Normally, after 7 days of a spring tide, the sun and the moon become at a right angle to each other with respect to the earth. Thus, the gravitational forces of the sun and the moon tend to contract one another. The tides during this period will be lower than the normal, which are called as the neap tides. They also occur twice in a month, during the first quarter month and the last quarter of the moon. Now let's see effects of tides. Tides act as a link between the port and the open sea. Some of the major ports of the world, such as London Port on the river Thames and Calcutta Port on river Hooghly, are located on the river away from the sea coast. The tidal current clear away the river sediments and slow down the growth of delta. It increases the depth of water, which helps ships to move safely to the port. It also acts as a source for producing electricity. Now let's see about ocean currents. The ocean currents are the horizontal flow of a mass of water in a fairly defined direction over great distances. They are just like a river flowing in an ocean. Ocean currents can be formed by the winds, density differences in ocean waters due to differences in temperature and salinity, gravity, and events such as earthquake. The direction of movement of an ocean current is mainly influenced by the rotation of the earth. Now let's see types of ocean currents. First, warm ocean currents. Those currents which flow from equatorial region towards poles which have a higher surface temperature and are called warm current. They bring warm waters to the cold region. They are usually observed on the east coast of the continents in the lower and middle latitudes of both hemispheres. In the northern hemisphere, they are also found on the west coast of the continents in the higher latitude. Second type is cold ocean currents. Those currents which flow from polar region towards equator have a lower surface temperature and are called cold currents. They bring cold water into warm areas. These currents are usually found on the west coast of the continent in low and middle latitudes of both hemispheres. In the northern hemisphere, they are also found on the east coast in the higher latitudes. Here we have completed this chapter. In this chapter, we came to know that water is the basic requirement of all human beings on the earth. Balance of water on the earth is maintained by water cycle. 97% of total water present on the earth is saline and only 3% of total water on the earth is sweet or fresh water. There are 5 oceans on the earth and the largest ocean is Pacific Ocean. Waves, tides and currents are the 3 movements of ocean water. Waves and tides help us in many ways. Ocean currents affect the climate of place. I hope all of you have understood. Thank you.